So close your eyes and picture ancient Egypt in your mind right now. I guarantee you're seeing exactly what everybody else sees, right? You've got dusty pyramids baking in the sand, ancient mummies all wrapped up in cloth, and the winding Nile River. It's kind of the ultimate historical cliché. But what if I told you that almost everything we picture when we think of Egypt is, well, fundamentally wrong? Welcome to This Explainer. Today, you and I are going to unpack a civilization that has literally been hiding extraordinary secrets in plain sight for 7,000 years. We're going to go rapid fire through a series of reveals that genuinely left me in absolute awe, and I know for sure they're going to completely shatter your assumptions. On one side, we have this pop culture expectation, right? Just sandy relics of a long-dead world. But on the other side is the real story that we're diving into today. I mean, we are talking about a society that invented this stuff sitting on your bathroom counter this morning. We'll look at geography that completely defies how we read modern maps, and a modern metropolis hiding one of the most astonishing empires of the ancient world. Let's just get right into it and challenge literally everything you thought you knew.
Section 1. Beyond the Ancient Myths. Let's strip away the Hollywood movies for a second and look at the actual archaeological reality of the most famous structures on Earth.
All right, let's dive into this first massive reveal with the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now, the myth we all know is that it's the sandy, rough, stepped structure, right? But the reality? Oh, man, when it was originally built, it was covered entirely in polished white limestone. Just imagine that for a second. A structure so perfectly encased in white stone that it gleamed like a literal mirror under the harsh desert sun. It was so bright and reflective, it was visible from hundreds of miles away. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, where did all that magnificent white stone go? Well, over the centuries, those gleaming casing stones were carefully stripped away and actually repurposed to build medieval Cairo.
And that actually brings us to an even bigger myth bust. For centuries, the entire world literally just assumed that these colossal pyramids were built by enslaved people. It's a story repeated in, I don't know, countless books and movies. But archaeological discoveries have completely flipped the script on this. The builders were not slaves. They were actually highly respected, paid Egyptian workers. And we're not just talking about a basic wage here. These workers received comprehensive medical care and, get this, if they tragically died on the job, they were given the ultimate honor of a burial site right near the pyramids they were constructing. These were valued citizens executing an elite public works project.
So, moving from the builders of the empire, we obviously have to talk about its most famous queen, Cleopatra. When you hear ancient Egypt, you instantly think of her, right? But here's a massive twist. Cleopatra VII wasn't actually Egyptian. Crazy, I know. She was actually of Greek descent. She belonged to the Macedonian Ptolemaic dynasty, which took over the rule of Egypt after the conquest of Alexander the Great. But what makes her truly remarkable, and honestly why she was so wildly popular with the Egyptian people, is that she was the very first ruler in her entire dynasty to actually bother learning the Egyptian language.
Section 2. Inventors of the Everyday. So, we've reframed the monuments and the monarchs, and now let's shift our awe to the incredibly intimate details of daily life. You might be shocked to find out that ancient Egyptians were the ultimate pioneers of modern hygiene and romance. I am genuinely obsessed with this ancient recipe. Okay, 5,000 years ago, the ancient Egyptians basically invented the world's very first toothpaste. And just listen to these ingredients: mint, salt, pepper, and dried iris flowers. Honestly, it sounds way more like an aggressive dry rub for a steak than something you'd brush your teeth with, right? But it worked. And they didn't stop there. They also invented breath mints. So the next time you're standing at your bathroom sink, just realize you are participating in a 5,000-year-old Egyptian morning routine. And you know, the everyday inventions definitely don't stop at the bathroom sink. The tradition of exchanging wedding rings, yeah, that started right here in ancient Egypt, also nearly 5,000 years ago. Originally, they didn't use gold or diamonds or anything like that. They fashioned these rings out of braided reeds or leather. But here is the absolute most beautiful part of this fact. The reason we wear a wedding ring on the fourth finger of the left hand is entirely due to the ancient Egyptians. They believed that this specific finger contained a special vein that ran directly to the human heart. It's just an incredibly romantic concept that has literally shaped how the entire world celebrates marriage today.
Moving on to Section 3, Defying the Map. From the origins of everyday life, let's zoom out a bit and look at the land itself, because even the fundamental geography of Egypt completely defies our modern expectations. So human intuition, mostly based on how we usually look at maps hanging on a wall, kind of suggests that rivers should flow down, from north to south. But the Nile flows completely backward by that logic. It goes from south to north, emptying right into the Mediterranean Sea. And this is exactly why historical texts refer to the southern region as Upper Egypt and the northern region as Lower Egypt. It wasn't about the map's orientation at all. It was entirely based on the elevation of the land and the actual flow of the water.
Which brings us to one of the most shocking demographic facts on Earth. Egypt is a massive country geographically, but 95% of it is the completely uninhabitable Sahara Desert. That means an entire population of over 100 million people is packed entirely into that tiny 5% sliver of green land along the Nile and its delta. Can you imagine that? It creates one of the most densely populated, vibrant corridors of human life on the face of the planet, entirely surrounded by just an absolute ocean of sand. Now, right within that bustling Nile corridor, the ancient Egyptians shared their homes with some highly revered roommates, and I'm talking about cats. The level of respect they had for felines is honestly almost hard to comprehend today. Killing a cat was a crime so severe it was literally punishable by death. But the deepest display of devotion? Get this. When a family cat passed away naturally, the entire household would shave off their eyebrows as a public display of deep mourning. No way, right? They would then frequently have their beloved pets mummified so they could be buried right alongside their owners for eternity. All right, Section 4, Hiding in Plain Sight. We've talked a lot about ancient practices, but there are unbelievable structures and modern marvels hiding in plain sight in Egypt right now.
Let's play a quick game. If I ask you, where are the most Roman-era ruins located, your immediate, instinctual guess is going to be Italy, right? Or maybe Greece. It seems like a trick question. Well, it is.
Because the answer is actually Egypt. It's this extraordinary fact that gets totally overshadowed by the massive pharaonic monuments we always see. Egypt contains an absolute treasure trove of Roman-era ruins. We are talking grand temples, sweeping amphitheaters, and sprawling catacombs that easily rival anything you will find in Italy. And they aren't just sitting there collecting dust either. Many of these incredible sites, particularly around Alexandria and scattered through the western desert, are continuously being excavated today. It's like a whole hidden empire buried right beneath the sand. And speaking of hiding in plain sight, let's take a look at a modern wonder. If you travel just west of Cairo, you'll find a massive, thriving metropolis named the 6th of October City. Now look closely at that name. It is literally named after a calendar date. Specifically, it's the exact date of Egypt's surprise military attack during the 1973 war. What started out as a simple commemorative name is now a booming modern suburb home to major universities, sprawling film studios, and millions of residents. It's just a fascinating blend of modern urban sprawl anchored by a very specific moment in military history. And finally, Section 5, The Origin of Us. As we reach the end of our explainer today, it's time to zoom out one last time and deliver the final punchline. Because everything we've looked at completely changes how we should view this incredibly famous country. Egypt is not just ancient history. It's the origin of a civilization so advanced it still confounds the modern world. I mean, from the gleaming white mirrors of the pyramids to that minty toothpaste sitting in your bathroom, and from the romantic tradition of the ring on your left hand to the hidden Roman empires beneath the sand, Egypt is absolutely the active bedrock of our everyday lives. It really leaves you wondering, doesn't it? As you go about your normal routine tomorrow, what other ancient secrets are hiding in plain sight right in front of you?